Hello and welcome to Garblag Games. We are playing Scion and this is Vostoks Chance. Hello and welcome to Session 0 of Vostoks Chance, our new Scion game, and the first game we're going to be doing for 2019. In a minute we'll go around and do introductions, but before we do, I'll pass over to Roger for the usual.
Right, so if you're listening to our podcast, firstly, go check out us on the YouTube channel. If you're watching on the YouTube channel and you'd like podcasts, we've got one of them too. Don't forget we've got our Facebook, we've got Twitter and Instagram, so follow us on them, keep up to date with what we're doing and any competitions we run. And if you want to drop us a like or give us a comment, feel free to do so just below. That would be amazing. Join us on our Discord. We're well over 30 people now and quite a lot of activity going on, as well as people using it for chats to play games, so that's all really good. So join us on there. Check out our Patreon. We're up to 36 patrons, and thank you guys to all of you that are currently patrons. You're all amazing. You let us buy all our fancy equipment and keep us getting ever better. So thanks guys, you're all awesome. And also there's lots of stuff on there, so feel free to go have a look at that. Pete's just put up a new map on there, so that's all very cool, so go check that out. We also have products on Drive-Thru RPG and Redbubble, such as Black Road, the Zweihander setting on Drive-Thru RPG. We also have these mugs on Redbubble. And there's other stuff, so there's like notebooks, which are really cool, or if it really takes you fancy, a throw pillow. Also, go check out...
Have we sold any couch sheet throw pillows yet?
No, but there's quite a few mugs and notebooks.
Cool.
Go check out our other shows. We've got Masters and Monsters, the Mage the Ascension game, and Flint and Steel, the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition game. And all of these have links below. So, yeah, without any further ado, I'll pass us back over to Colin.
Hi, I'm Colin, and I'm going to be the storyteller for this game.
Hi, I'm Dave.
Hi, I'm Roger.
And I'm Dan.
Right, so we're actually down 2 players this evening. Sam and John, who have been on the channel before. Sam is currently in Flint and Steel, and John is...
He was in 5 cities.
Okay. They'll be joining us next session. They'll be doing character creation separately. This is the character creation session. So I'm going to be talking a bit about what Scion is and what Vostoks Chance is. And then we'll go around and we'll see what people want to do in terms of what they want to play. So, Scion. Scion is the... Scion is an urban fantasy game in the same rough vein as the World of Darkness series, so vampire, werewolf, mage, wraith, all that lot. A lot of the mechanics are very similar. You'll recognise some of the terms if you're familiar with those, but they are sufficiently different that it doesn't cross over very well. A lot of the rest basically have the same mechanics set underneath, and you can have werewolves in your vampire game and so forth, albeit usually quite briefly and violently. But
true.
Scion is just... Scion is just... Its mechanics are a bit too different, and at the higher level, Scion's... Well, they're gods, so...
a bit of a one-sided fight there.
It is a bit. So, what is Scion? So, Scion, as I say, it's an urban fantasy game, so it's sort of real world with supernatural elements in the background. In this case, the supernatural element are gods, as I mentioned. Basically, a lot of the old pantheons actually exist. And they interact with the world sometimes, and every now and again they have children. Those children are not yet Scions. So the child of a god and a mortal is going to be an exceptional human, but they are still mortal. Every now and again, so pretty rarely, one of the gods will choose one of usually their children, but not necessarily, and adopt them formally. and imbue them with power which sets them on a path that, if they survive it, can lead to that person becoming a god in their own right.
Think a bit Percy Jackson.
Basically,
I was
yeah.
just thinking the exact same thing.
It is.
Percy Jackson could be a Scion game, just made into a film.
It is. Percy Jackson is basically the sort of concept. It's slightly less of a kids show than kids series than Percy Jackson.
Yeah,
but
it's same line.
It's same kind. Yeah, it's very similar. So gods can imbue their children with power. That raises them up to the point where they are. Scion puts them on the first steps on that path. Scions are still at the start, and at the level you're going to be playing them, they're still mostly mortal, mostly human. So you are. There is a reason this book is called Hero. Can I have a book? Or someone hold up a book. You are definitely a heroic human at this stage, rather than necessarily immortal in any.
Like Achilles.
Yeah. Gods imbue scions relatively rarely. There's a couple of reasons for that. The first is that it's quite an investment, and the second is that it's quite a risk. The first reason it's a risk is, well, look at Zeus's relationship with his dad.
Yummy.
Scions can become gods, and in a lot of the pantheons that's considered a bit scary, because it means that they can come along and disrupt things and potentially challenge their parents.
Bit of a small pond and quite a few big fish.
Yeah. There is another reason that I'm more playing up in this game than is necessarily in the standard rules, but I'll get onto that a bit more as we get through character creation. It's just sort of related to one of the bits.
I need an adult.
So there are relatively few signs at any time. I'm not going to want multiple signs of the same god, but given that there are in the core book 6 pantheons, and there are 2 more in the companion book, and we've got 2 of those on the table, and there's another one in a PDF-only release that I've got, and all the fan-made gigs, we won't have a problem with not having two signs of the same god. So the next main sort of important thing to know about the setting is kind of where the conflict comes from. There is a certain amount of conflict between the gods, between the pantheons, as you would expect. But also there are the Titans. So the Titans are... the Titan is obviously the Greek name. To the Norse they are the Jotun. I don't know their names for what would be the equivalent name for all the others, but they exist. They are... The true Titans are manifestations of cosmic forces. There is a Titan of fire, there is a Titan of light, there is a Titan of darkness, there is a Titan of earth, and so forth. The Titans are incredibly powerful, more powerful than any god, and wholly malevolent. And the gods sealed them away aeons ago, but did not kill them. There is a mention somewhere in one of the books, but I've never actually managed to find the actual thing it's referring to, that one of the Titans was killed in that war. The Aesir, the Norse gods, managed to kill one of the Titans they were facing, and the repercussions of that, slaying a manifestation of one of the primal forces that make up the world, apparently was rather unpleasant, and convinced quite quickly all the other pantheons and the Aesir that doing that again would be a bad idea. So they locked the rest of them away. And they've been sealed away for thousands of years, but they are not resting quietly. In the place I'm setting the game, I'm setting it in 1998. I'm setting it so the in the sort of main setting, the Titans have just broken out. I'm setting it a bit before that, so they haven't yet broken out. But they are rattling the bars, as it were, metaphorically at the very least. Their agents are at large in the world. The gods have been encountering them. Some of them have encountered Titan spawn powerful enough to slay the gods' avatars themselves. Not enough to slay the gods, but certainly to kick them back to their realms and destroy their avatars in this world. As such, that you will all have been told regardless of who your patron deity is, you will have been told to be careful. If you reveal your presence, if you reveal your nature widely, you risk something finding out about it that would consider you a tasty snack. And there are plenty of things out there for whom you would be little more than a tasty snack.
Mummy.
The longer you can...
Need a bigger stick.
The longer you can... It's kind of probably inevitable that eventually you'll be discovered, but the longer you can keep reasonably hidden, the more chance you've got of surviving.
Stable and radar.
Pretty much. However, for your own reasons, and this is for your characters to figure out, or for you to figure out on your character's behalf, your characters has decided that appearing in a TV show would be a really good idea. Not entirely sure how wise that is, but hey, the level you will be starting at, it shouldn't be too hard for you to not be obviously supernatural. So it's not, you are exceptional individuals, but you will not necessarily look, there's going to be relatively little you can do that is blatantly off the scale, or just, how are you doing that? There are some things you can do, but providing you don't do those on camera, you should be fine. Animating a chair and having a conversation with it on camera, probably not a good idea.
That's all David Blaine stuff.
So, okay, so Vostoks Chance is in the world. It is a TV show. It first aired in 1990. It is it was a sort of game show, challenge show. So the idea was that a group of individuals who didn't really know each other, they were pretty much supposed to be kind of an everyman group. So no one who's particularly made a mark in any particular field. And they were challenged by one Vladimir Vostok, the secretive and shadowy mastermind, at least within the context of the show, to perform various nefarious deeds on his behalf. And this would all be acted out within a studio mock-up of wherever they were. So it they might be stealing something or planting a bug, or very sort of espionage and type things. The reason it got so much attention when it was first aired was that it was really edgy and no one really understood where the rules were. Physical violence and significant injuries were a risk. Most teams failed. The rewards, if they succeeded, were significant. As such, it quite quickly gained this cult following. No one, it's really edgy. It's quite violent. No one really knew what was going to happen next. Salacious rumours about far worse deeds that just never made it to the TV screens did nothing to dent its popularity. But it did eventually wane. After 4 series it was axed, not because anything, not so much because any other shows had really come up to challenge it, which sometimes happens, but more because the rules started to become apparent. After 4 series, people had started to understand where the limits actually were, where the lines were. For example, the security guards that kept bloodying people up, midway through season 2, people started to realise that they would never escalate. So if you, they would manhandle you or whatever, but if you weren't swinging punches at them, they wouldn't hit you back. Essentially, that's how they kept inside the law. But when people didn't know that and were flailing around and actually trying to fight them, and it got
brutal.
It got a bit
No
nasty.
reasonable force.
Exactly. But so after 4 seasons, it was camp. you have each received a letter recently, or actually, let's go back a little bit. About a year ago, rumours started to go round about maybe it was coming back. The production company behind it started to make noises about they had something big in the works, but they didn't put a name to it. They were just like, watch this space, we're going to bring you something awesome. And that's been pootling along for a little while. Nothing much has, it's just sort of simmering along in the background. Nothing much has come up. A couple of weeks ago, you will have each received a letter written supposedly by Mr. Vladimir Vostok, inviting you to compete in a new round. It specifically said to forget what you think you might know about the way these things run, because if you go by that, what you think you know, you will fail. And he doesn't want you to fail. For whatever reason, you have decided to, as I say, all for your own reasons, you've decided to go along with that. Whatever you've done in terms of checking up, because obviously you'd be justifiably a little bit paranoid about things, because your visitation, i.e. when your adoptive parent or parent came to you, was probably in the last 2-3 months, so it's all quite fresh. So anything you've done to try and follow it up, it does look legitimate. The production company, if you contact them independently of the contact details you have on the sheet, in the letter, they will have been very wary of answering any questions directly until you convinced them of who you were. But they will then confirm that yes, this is something from them, and this is actually a thing. So that's where we're starting. We're basically going to start with you guys arriving and meeting each other. You will not know each other. You will not know that each other are Scions. There is not an easy way to tell. So that's going to be fun. I'm kind of interested to see how long it
magic.
I'm kind of interested to just see how long it goes.
Got divining rods
before you each.
Everyone take the knack that lets you do that.
There is a perception knack next to you do it, but I've got a feeling.
Really?
I've got.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, sorry, I was actually referring to something slightly different. Probably there is a knack that allows you to sense magic and the power by the gods is what I meant. I think it's a demigod knack.
Okay. So, it's a Scion.
Hey! Yep. So, yes. So yeah, that's where we're starting. I'm going to be interested to see how long it takes before you figure each other out. But, yeah. Right, so if we go around the table... first of all, I'd like, because I think you've all picked the gods you want to be of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, if each of you could just briefly explain which god, who that god is, what they represent, and maybe briefly the kind of character concept you have to go with that, and how you see your character relating to that god. None of that's necessarily set in stone yet, but just a starting point. Yeah, I'll start with Dave.
Fair enough. So I'm thinking of taking a Scion of Balder, the Norse god. His primary characteristics are his immense good looks and charisma. So traditionally I've played quite antagonistic characters, so I'm looking forward to playing a character that tries to get things done by getting on people's good sides rather than the other way around. So yeah, I'm planning on playing a charismatic character who can work with people, and characters that you can't work with directly possibly manipulate into doing what he wants. So yeah, that's my core character concept.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've chosen to be the child of Tsukiyomi, the Japanese god of the moon, who is rather a sneaky one. Very good at sneaking around the place, as you would expect from a god of the moon. They don't like to operate in the darkness. They are, however, I'm very good at talking to people as well. I've got charisma as one of my purviews. So I'm hoping that if I do get caught, I'll be able to talk my way out of it.
Good luck.
My character, I'm looking to keep it Norse. I'm going Odin. I'm going for more the seeker of knowledge side of Odin rather than the war side of Odin. So hopefully going to be sort of working out the puzzles and things like that. We'll see how that goes and see if I can stay along that path.
Okay, so before we get into the sort of main bits of character creation, I would just like to say I do really like Scion. You might not believe it if I don't say it, because I'm about to go through and describe a lot of the things we are going to be changing, because there were bits of this. The way I look at it, if you find a game system, that you don't really particularly like, and there are issues with it and things that detract from the fun, you just walk away from it. I like Scion enough to try and fix it. I really do like it. I think it's an awesome system. But there are things that I find, some bits which are more sort of glaring, and some bits that are just a bit, just niggling, you know. So I'm going to be making a few changes through the thing to try and basically to try and smooth some of that out, to try and help make things more fun. So one of the ones we've been talking around the table a bit before we started, one of the ones I'm going to start with is looking at this. So each god, if you know much about sort of the World of Darkness stuff, you'll know there are the nine main attributes: 3 physical, 3 social, 3 mental. Each god has associated attributes that go along with them. Now, in the core book, it kind of makes some sense that some gods have more than others, because if you look at the God book, which is the 3rd book in the series, if you look at the power that a god can grant to their children, their scions, is based on how powerful that god is. So the more powerful gods have more powerful scions. Kind of makes sense. But as a role-playing game mechanic, it does feel a bit awkward where you have some gods like Odin who has 6 associated attributes where everything's just cheaper to buy, just costs less experience to buy, and other gods like what's he called? Tsukiyomi, who has 1. So I'm going to smooth that out a little bit.
I chose poorly.
I'm basically just going to go with 3 for everyone and then try and pick appropriate things for each character. So Balder has epic appearance and epic charisma as his ones. I think what would be an appropriate addition to that. Possibly epic dexterity?
Intelligence, maybe?
Or intelligence?
Or wits.
Wits. Yeah, wits I think would
Wits
work
would be a
quite
good
well.
one.
Wits would work quite well.
Yeah,
So
I
you
could
can
do
have
that.
wits in addition to that. Odin has, as I say, 6, so we're cutting them down a bit. Odin is very much...
Didn't know that.
He's
before I picked
got
it.
to have intelligence as one of them.
He's
Yeah.
going to have intelligence.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's all about magic, and he's all about power, really. So I'm thinking he's going to have intelligence, he's going to have wits,
Yeah.
and then he's going to have manipulation.
Yeah.
Those ones seem very appropriate for Odin. And then Tsukiyomi.
I get
Tsukiyomi
charisma.
Gets charisma. Right, let's have a quick look down. God of the Moon.
Had to pick a god that no one knows anything about, even me.
Yep.
I'm awkward.
Yeah. Diplomat career, Ellen. So talk to people, making
Basically, he shanked someone that he shouldn't have done and fell out with his sister.
who happened to be, in charge of the pantheon.
A little bit awkward.
Yeah, it's
There's one in every family.
kind of inappropriate.
Oh yeah, he's the black sheep. He's like a really bad man.
Yes and no. He's not necessarily. He's not like the evil one. He was very impulsive.
He's a bit of an assassin.
Yes,
a bit. I read about He shanks someone at a dinner party.
The way I was seeing that was less assassin and more. If you think the more sort of the Japanese noble always has a sword at his side, sees something revolting and dishonouring, essentially.
Using the
You are
starter
feeding
for
us.
men.
No, it's that she would the kami. So the kami, he was the hostess. She created food by looking at the land or sea from which a particular kind of food came, and then vomiting up the food.
Lovely. Nothing's more appetising.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah.
Oh, you want to declare? Oh,
Yes. So epic charisma is one of them. I'm trying to think what would be an appropriate pair of extra ones.
it's a god of sneaking around. I would have thought Dex. You'd have thought they'd be light on their feet.
The messenger, so
Maybe.
yeah, dexterity would sort of make sense. Messenger character, you've got charisma.
Either wits or perception, maybe.
Probably yeah, that would make sense. I'll give you perception. Cool. And then I'll have to talk to Sam and John about what they're doing. I'm not so worried about purviews in that set, because what purviews do is they just give you choices
Basically on magic type stuff.
Basically, they give you extra things you can spend experience on, as opposed to just making things that everyone can spend experience on cheaper.
Mm.
So, right, let's find the character creation bit. Hey, that was a good guess. Click, here it is. So you've got gods. Nature is something in one of these. In these, so that's something to think about. There'll be natures listed. I would advise to pick one of the chosen natures because they're a bit more clear as to how they work. Basically, acting within your nature gives you bonuses, allows you to gain willpower back more easily.
Okay.
The next thing will be attributes. So I'm not really changing anything really until we get to the supernatural stuff. Yep. So, if you prioritise your physical, mental, and social attributes, so same as a lot of the other, well, a lot of the sort of standard World of Darkness games, you then put points. So you start with 1 point in each of those attributes, and then on top of that you get some more. And I've just passed the book over. So Dave, how many more do you get? It's in this box here.
What page are we on?
I might hand the book back to you.
Okay, fine. So,
there you go.
Okay, so 8 points, 6 points, and 4 points. It's on page 101. So you get 8 points, 6 points.
May I borrow a pencil, please?
Yes.
I've got to remember how
Thank
to
you.
do
So basically, you can.
You can only have up to 5 at this point. The character sheets we've got go up to 10 because God, but you're
Yeah. So
not at that
basically,
stage.
they're in 3 groups: physical, mental, and social.
And then
you
you
have
do
to
8.
pick 8, 6, and 4 in
Yeah.
whichever order
Yes.
you want them.
Note that when I say that these characters are exceptional humans, the average human stat is 2, which means in their lowest category, they are above average. Because they have 3 to start with, and then another 4 to spend, and they're only 3. So the most evened out you can be is 2, 2, 3, which means that in your lowest category you are above average. So, yeah, you are very much exceptional.
Right. So you don't include the ones that are already there.
No, you don't.
That's
You
fine.
don't include the ones that are already there, correct?
Yeah, that's fine.
So you're just filling in the circles at the moment. The
Been a
squares are for the silly powers.
Squares.
It's been a while since I played Scion.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So circles are what we're kind of naturally good
That's
at.
the human.
The other
that's
ones
the
are what
human
we're
traits.
well, they're physically good at, and the other ones are kind of what you're supernaturally good at.
We'll get onto those in a bit, and I will have to do a bit of a blurb about the things I'm changing because
Cool. So, should we go through the ones that we've put in?
yeah, if you're ready,
Right,
those
so-
stuff.
For my Scion of Tsukiyomi, it's kind of a bit more physically boosted. So he's got 3 strength, 5 dexterity. So he's a bit of a ninja.
Yep.
And 3 stamina. So kind of above average strength and stamina, but very, very dexterous.
Very, very good. High dex, yep.
Mental wise, he's got average perception. He's got 2 dots in that. He's pretty intelligent. He's got 3 in that,
Yes.
and he's averagely perceptive. He's averagely witty. That's the wrong word, I know, but he's got 2 in wits. Social wise, he's very charismatic. He's got 4 in charisma, and he's not particularly manipulative with 2, and he's average looking on 2.
Okay. Should actually note one of the things I haven't realised. I haven't said the Vostoks Chance is an American show, so it would be advantageous if your characters either have
English as a language.
I was going to say either have legal right to be and work effectively in America, or have pretty good fake ID. One of the two. But that shouldn't be.
I'd imagine you could get visas to go in on the TV show.
Yeah, probably. Probably they can sort that out.
Travel visas.
But yeah, so just to think about for when you're coming up with a character.
Okay.
Yes, English would be a useful thing to have as a language.
I've got a nationality, but I'm not American.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go on to my Scion of Odin. So I'm pretty just above average in the physical attributes. So I've got 3 in strength, dexterity, and stamina.
Yep.
Just being slightly better than a normal human being.
Yep.
In mentals, where I kind of concentrated mainly because of my character sort of build. So I've gone perception for 3, intelligence for 4, and wits for 4.
Okay. Yep.
And then in social, because I didn't want to be completely ugly, I went for appearance 2, just to be average.
Yep.
And then I went for manipulation 4, which feeds back into Odin and my character, and then charisma 1, because I'm not going to be very charismatic.
Okay, that's interesting. So those two, it's an interesting one. Those two do kind of tie together quite a bit. So it's.
How am I going to manipulate someone if I'm not very charismatic?
It is possible to
Just
manipulate
screaming
people.
Matt Damon at them.
It is possible to be manipulative when someone doesn't like you, but it's easier to. Those do sort of go quite well. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. You'll get plenty of opportunities to buy up things. Compared with the World of Darkness sort of standard, the experience rate in Scion is quite a lot higher. So next is skills. We're talking here skills. So skills are basically the things you've learned to do. You have a number of associated skills, which are a bit easier for you to learn because, again, you're God. Your patron is associated. For Balder, they are, if you put a top tick next to these, art, athletics, brawl, melee, marksmanship. So, combat, athletics, brawl, melee, and marksmanship. That's all the combat skills. And presence. Odin. There is art, fortitude, integrity, investigation, occult, and presence. So, fortitude is physically resisting things, endurance, that kind of stuff. Integrity is more resisting temptations and sort of social and mental kind of resiliency. Yes.
Bound to peer pressure.
Yeah, pretty much. Or they could each apply to resisting torture depending on what kind of torture nature. And for Tsukiyomi, it's academics, awareness, empathy, investigation, marksmanship, and politics. So, abilities. So you've got 30 points to spread between them. None of them can be higher than 3 at this stage. To be honest, if we're looking at characters that are around about the 20 mark, taking anything higher than 3 is possibly pushing it anyway. Even with the later boosts. But so you've got 30 points. At least 6 must go into your favoured abilities. Later on, favoured abilities are slightly cheaper to buy.
Would science cover stuff like technology?
Yes, I believe it probably would. Depends on slightly what you're doing with it. So there's craft would possibly be more appropriate to more hands-on things. Science would be slightly
like
more...
programming and that kind of stuff.
Programming probably be...
Science, I would have thought.
Science, because there isn't a computer skill. Yep, go with that. If you have any questions about some of these, what these abilities are, ask, and I will.
Just noticed that the sneaky god of sneaking doesn't have stealth.
Yeah. Because he's not actually really a god of sneaking, he just
Happens to be amazing at it.
happens to have all the magical abilities that line up to make him really sneaky. But hey. He's not actually... The thing is, he's not... If you look at the description of him, he's not necessarily a sneaky... He is not Artemis. You know, a sneaky hunter or anything. He is a messenger, he is an envoy, a diplomat. Hence, charisma. Psychopomp for getting from A to B. Darkness of Moon because he's the kami of the moon. So, you know, they're his purviews. They're his thing.
Can you just go into a little about what command covers?
So, command is leadership, essentially. I'll find the actual description in here. Command represents a person's skill and experience in leading people, whether it's managing work teams or guiding raw recruits into battle. This ability can be learned through training or through hard experience. Yes, so it's
Okay.
leadership, essentially.
Fair enough. I think that's fitting with a
Yep.
charismatic character, so I'll
Yep.
take a few points in that.
Yep. Command and presence are both very appropriate things. Command is also a very, very useful ability in combat too. There is a mechanic of coordinated assault where a character rolls, I believe it is charisma and command.
Excellent.
Essentially, you take a sort of average speed action in a combat to say, right, everybody, you know, you do this, you do this, you do this. Right, let's get him. On my mark, go. And then you can get people to join in the attack. Everyone has to act at the same moment, so they have to hold their action to act with you, effectively. But
Was fair.
the upsides to it is that the target of that gets some significant penalties to their defences, which means that when you're facing off against powerful enemies who are above your grade in terms of power, who you would really be struggling to land a blow on, that can really make the difference between we're flailing at this thing, not achieving anything, and we're actually landing a few blows, we're starting to wear it down.
Useful, because having focused on social, I'm not sure I'm going to be that useful, at least to begin with, in fights, unless I have some special abilities.
Yeah, you may want to think about that more going forwards, but you don't necessarily have to have started there. It's not a problem. As I say, the experience curve is quite quick, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to buy stuff. Okay, I think it's possibly worth going through sort of dot by dot what you've taken, but maybe sort of a little bit about what you've decided to focus on. Roger, are you ready? Or are you
I'm still on one.
You're still pointing.
Okay. Well, I'm quite happy to go.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've actually concentrated on most of the ones that are mine.
Yep.
As Odin.
Yep.
So I've actually gone for a full 3 in art, fortitude, integrity, investigation, occult, and presence. And then I thought to go along with my sort of character and sort of direction. Hopefully, I want to go. I've actually gone with medicine, melee, athletics, and awareness on top of that.
Yep.
And hopefully, as we go on and you'll see my character, you'll see why I've gone into that sort of realm.
That's cool. Another thing, I keep remembering things I meant to say earlier. One of the things I would like you to be thinking about as we're going through this, because it'll help sort of flesh out your character a bit, is sort of in addition to sort of think about who your character is and that, but also thinking about who is around your character. Your characters are still, for the most part, at the moment, human. So, who's important to them, who are they, family, who they're close to, rivals possibly, that kind of thing can... it works, A, to help you feed into characters, but also, gives me some hooks that I can draw in. It gives me more ways I can make the game about your characters, which is always more enjoyable.
Okay, so my character is very academic, quite athletic, got a bit of command, control I think is driving, isn't it?
Yeah, so control is, because it's got the spaces underneath, there are a number of sort of specialisms.
I took one because I figured he could probably drive.
You'd expect to take... I think probably most of you can drive, just not necessarily with any significant skill. One of the things... so in Scion, if you don't have a point in an ability, you can still roll for that, but you don't get to apply any of your epics.
Okay.
So the penalty is basically you don't get to apply epics, which... At the high levels, I'll get on to explaining what epics do in a bit, but at the high levels, that is crippling. For now, it's... You're not going to be as good.
Okay, so...
but yeah, so...
It's relatively social. He's got empathy, investigation, integrity, politics, and presence.
Yeah.
As, kind of got a bit of an eye that he's a bit of a start-up company CEO. So not like massive multinational, but... he's got his grounded company and he's working his way up. So
that you're thinking kind of the kid who had a good idea and is turning
it into a moneymaker, yeah.
Cool.
So to kind of understand why he's got that, he's got Science 3.
Yep.
So that's basically him coming up with his genius idea.
Yep.
To make himself lots of money.
Yep. The internet is in its starting up. Mobile internet is just becoming a thing at this point in time. There are phones that can access the internet. There aren't very many websites that can load on them, but...
Still dial-up, isn't it?
Thinking of making some kind of software for phones. Naming it after a robot.
But yes, so just to give you a context of where we are,
he's got a
I've looked a
technology
bit
company.
at where we are in terms of that kind of thing.
That's kind of where I'm going with that.
Awesome.
Okay. So for my character, not entirely set on the backstory yet, but I'm thinking
that's fine.
Sort of very much a personality cult type person, as a motivational speaker sort of person. So for that, I've and along with the sort of epic appearance and charisma, very much into speaking publicly.
Yep.
Keeping fit, looking great. So I've gone with athletics.
Yep.
Awareness, not necessarily related to the backstory, but
noticing stuff is a useful trait to have.
Command, again, great public speaking.
Yep.
Always useful. Has control of helicopter. How do you arrive somewhere in style without being able to?
Because how can you ever play a Scion character who can't play a helicopter day? For reference, the last game Dave and I, Scion game Dave and I were in, of course, his character had a helicopter.
Yeah, he crashed that quite quickly though. Series of bad dice roll, and the helicopter didn't last long.
You won't have a helicopter with you.
Yeah. Bring a parachute.
Empathy, always good to understand the people you're speaking to and what will get them on board.
Yeah.
Integrity, need people to believe what you're saying.
Yep.
Along with the athletics things, I've taken marksmanship into a bit of cross-country skiing.
Marksmanship is
guns.
Yep.
And
cross-country skiing, ski, shoot.
Okay, fine, good. That's all right. I was just a little confused by referencing.
Politics.
Yep.
Again, and presence comes with the epic appearance and charisma.
Yeah.
And survival again. Done a few wilderness type survival.
Yeah.
Thanks for experience.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I'm gonna die.
I live in the city.
I was gonna say my character's lived a very sheltered life.
Well, hopefully you'll make friends with this person who can help you survive when you get stranded in the middle of the Canadian wilderness. Middle of the Canadian wilderness. There's a... when shall I put you there?
Time to use all that dex to run south really fast.
Anyway. Right. So, Birthrights. The next bit is Birthrights. Then we're going to get onto the more supernatural stuff, and I'm going to talk a bit about how I'm really changing some of the rules. And why. So, but first we'll do Birthrights. So Birthrights are things that your parent gave you when they came to you. They give some of them may give you access to some of your abilities. So your more magical abilities, what are called purviews, are you don't get access to automatically, except for the one which is inherent to your pantheon. That's the word. So for you two, it is Jotunblut, which is an ability that you can literally feed someone your blood, and they gain physical. They grow physically stronger and a bit unhinged.
So our blood is essentially a drug.
Yeah, a little bit addictive too. They'll be very, very loyal, but you possibly don't want to deny them their fix. At high levels, it is actually. At high levels, it can be very, very, very powerful. You know, you can turn mortals into. You can give mortals epic traits.
Wow.
At lower levels, I think it's just gaining boosts to mundane traits, but still pretty good. I'm not certain. I can't remember looking. For you, it's the one I can't remember how it's pronounced, but it's basically talking to the spirits. So, Amatsukami...
Tsukomogami.
There you go, Tsukomogami. The Amatsukami
There's going to be a Japanese person watching this saying that's how you say it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Feel free to correct me on my
Feel
pronunciation.
free to tell us that we're pronouncing everything wrong.
Apologies to anyone Japanese watching. I will try.
Amatsukami are kind of the high spirit, a court of spirits. I'm not 100% sure whether they are the or a court of powerful Shinto spirits. Someone who knows more can, I'm sure, fill me in on that one. But their particular ability is focused around interactions with the lesser spirits. So at low levels, you can literally, as I mentioned earlier, animate an inanimate object and have a conversation with it. So you could talk to a car about where it's been and who's been in it. And, did someone get bundled into you, draped and thrown across your back seat? Where did they get dragged out again?
Okay.
Could be quite useful.
It's kind of handy. Not at all subtle.
Or if I just need some intelligent conversation.
I've got 4 intelligence. Could be very intelligent. Well, intelligent.
Pick up a rock.
All the other purviews you will need to kind of buy access to at this stage.
Wow, okay.
You won't have access to them by default until you get to God, and I can't remember how that works. So, but we're not going to get to God in this. I'm expecting this arc to probably get you to kind of the top of hero, the bottom of demigod. We might get into demigod before the end of it. We might not. Virtue. Okay, let's have a look. Well, let's do Birthrights since I started talking about them. If I can find them. Who's hidden the Birthrights? Okay. Oh, come on. It's not in that chapter.
Why would it be with them? That would just make sense.
You can find the Birthrights, won't you?
I'll have a look, but I don't know this book very well, so I'm going to guess no.
Well, two of us flicking through might get somewhere. Right, I'm gonna take a wild. I know. Before you say anything, I'm going to look in the index.
The fool.
Right, so 98 has apparently some stuff about it. Okay, chapter 5, page 98 points me at the right place. Page 156 to 169. Here we go. Right. So Birthrights are kind of like backgrounds in in the other World of Darkness games, except a bit more because they are definitely they are your gifts. So yes, that picture that picture does rather and the horse even has the right number of legs.
Yeah, that's
so the powers you cannot. So you have. Oh, I've lost my page. You have 5 points to put in Birthrights. You cannot take a Birthright above 3 at this stage because at high levels they get very powerful. You can, however, take the same Birthright category multiple times to represent a different thing.
Oh, I could take 5 ravens and have murder. Oh, sorry, crows and have murder. That would just be an unkindness.
So, Birthrights are creature. You have a creature that follows you around. At low level, it's a so 1 or 2 points. Basically, with a lot of these, 1 or 2 points is probably non-supernatural, but a bit more, maybe a bit more intelligent, a bit more powerful in the appropriate way, and so forth. A creature is a creature that is bound to you. It is not necessarily particularly intelligent, certainly at the lower levels, and if you don't have the animal purview, you might have trouble talking to it. So at 3, you're starting to get into actually supernatural stuff.
And we can't go above that.
And you can't go above that yet, but you can go above it with freebie points, which we'll come to later.
Okay, so we need a relic to get access to our purviews.
Yes. Followers are people that follow you around. Usually they're mostly statted up as combat stuff. I did have my political activist with her team, which was quite cool. And Sam had her SWAT team. That was quite fun. Guide is a mentor, essentially. Again, lower levels you're talking mortals, higher levels you're talking into actually maybe a more experienced Scion or some other supernatural creature. There are other supernatural creatures living in the world. Most people don't see them because they just don't kind of see them. They're masked somewhat from human senses. But yeah, so you may have a centaur who you may have the what's his name?
Jeff.
Not Jeff. Chiron was the one I was thinking of. So centaur Chiron, possibly not the centaur actually Chiron, but yeah. Then relics are items, and I think that's the last one. There is a lot of stuff on relics because relics are a very varied thing. Relics kind of come in 2 I'll say 3 categories, and you can put points from a relic into giving you bonuses from multiple different things. For every point in a relic, that relic can grant you access to a purview. This particularly is where that extra risk I was mentioning earlier comes from, because your patron is giving you something that has direct access to their power. If you lose that, if someone takes it, there are various ways they can be that link can be subverted and used against the god. So, don't lose it. But they probably will have granted you something with at least 1 purview associated, because that's part of sort of how it works. So for every point in a thing, it'll give you access to 1 purview. The second one is enhancement. So if you were to have a relic firearm, you would take the standard stat line for a firearm for a gun of that type, and you can spend relic points to essentially boost its stats. So you will have something that looks like, probably a quite impressive, but mundane gun, but your pistol is hitting like a rifle. Because you can spend points to just boost it up. Essentially, that is sort of God-forged, stuff. That kind of thing is less risky for the god to give you because it's literally just a
really good gun.
A really good gun. It's nothing. There's no particular link there. The third one is various specific powers. those can either be direct purview ability, so direct mapping onto this purview power that you don't actually buy, you haven't got for yourself normally. You can activate this power. That may not seem great, but if you consider that access to a purview gives you the ability to buy all of the purview with experience, whereas this would just grant you that one power, still could be useful. Or other sundry unique magical weird powers. There are all manner of things. Some things, so purviews, birthright connection. So one of the things, for example, if you have a high-level creature following you around, if you have, a rock, which is something I wanted at one point. I haven't got it. I really wanted to play Scion with a pet rock. No. This is just a stone. That's my pet rock. It's basically a bird big enough to carry off sailing ships. Now, clearly, that's the kind of thing that can't really exist in the real world all the time. It would get noticed. So you would probably want to take a relic that allows you to summon it when you need it. Similarly, it could apply to your followers or your guide as appropriate. So it's allowing you access to something else in a way that you don't have to go and find your mentor, or you don't have to be travelling around with your followers all the time. So, for example, you might have a bag of dragon's teeth. That allows you to call up some skeletal hoplites to fight for you. Would be a different pantheon from the ones you're playing, but it's that kind of thing.
It's fine. You nicked it from the Greeks.
Stealing other Scions
Definitely can't go wrong.
Is not a particularly politic move. We'll say it that way. On the other hand, recovering stolen birthrights and returning them to their rightful owner is potentially a good way of making friends.
Unless they're Greek. Because the Greek gods are dicks.
The Greek gods are a bit
dickish.
Yeah.
They're total asshats.
The way they're written is a bit... Yeah, the low are generally the friendliest.
Yeah.
The voodoo gods are genuinely the friendliest. Mostly, or at least in part, because they don't consider their pantheon to be complete. So they generally consider their scions to be, rather than pawns, they consider them potential siblings, essentially. They treat them more like younger siblings.
Norse aren't too bad.
Norse aren't too bad. Odin, a bit less. Odin is very much into and all of you will be, and I am going to survive Ragnarok one way or another. I am going to find a way to make this work, and you are going to play a part in that plan. And if you don't survive,
Next, please.
Exactly. The important thing is that you help me survive, not whether you get through it alive. Of course, you probably don't know that. Because he's got epic manipulation as a core trait. But yes, so birthrights. So to run through that again very quickly: creature, a creature that an animal, followers, people to some degree of people, guide, a mentor of some kind, or relic. And you can take multiple relics. So if you want to say you can't take anything above 3. You couldn't take a relic, a 5-point relic.
You could take a 2 and a 3.
You could take a 2-point relic and a 3-point relic, and they'd be separate items. Also, to be aware, given the nature of certainly where the game is starting, I don't know how long you're going to be actually in, operating within the confines of this game show. That rather depends on how you react to some of the things that happen. But,
just run away!
But, that is going to restrict you somewhat in that, wandering around with obvious ornate guns and, blades is probably not going to fit in too well with what is essentially, this is supposed to be, as far as you're concerned, it's a game show. You're not actually, the people, if you get in a fight, the people you are fighting are essentially actors employed. So just blowing their brains out is probably going to get you charged with murder.
Just need better lawyers.
But, so just sort of be aware of that. It doesn't mean you won't get to use stuff if you take cool things. It's definitely not a bad idea to have access to weaponry, but at the start of the game you might not actually have it with you, so you might need to think about how that's going to work.
Okay, so would you mind running through the guide that we can have again? What sort of?
Okay.
So I'm thinking.
So, guide is, as I say, a mentor. So, potential guides come in many forms: sagely mortals, fellow Scions, or even legendary beings. A Greek Scion may visit a particular grove to commune with one of the wall ghosts. Japanese Scions might do the same at remote Shinto shrines. Lower guides have the jarring habit of dispensing wisdom through convenient passers-by. Lower, their pantheon thing is cheval, basically the power of spirit riding another person, so they can possess a mortal and use various powers through them. Yes, often at inopportune or embarrassing moments for their students. Purchasing this trait is no guarantee that the Science Guide will always be available to answer questions. Indeed, the most powerful and knowledgeable guides usually have the most distractions. If you also take a relic that allows you to contact your guide, it's probably going to be easier for you to contact them, because if you have a relic that you can carry around with you, and magic mirror or something,
a magic mobile phone, 90s era brick.
Pull up aerial. Yes, I need support.
Late 90s, you could have a 3210. Be like the latest thing.
Kind of depends on where you're going with it.
Radio.
A lot of this stuff, what you kind of should be
on,
thinking, there is, it's not unreasonable for you to have more technological birthrights. I'm not going to say you shouldn't, but please think about these in terms of legendary. They are legendary artifacts. They are things of story. So
Okay. Not a laptop.
they're not going to be. They're never going to be something that looks mundane. Jewelry is quite a common one for some things, particularly for things that are just like granting you things like access to a couple of purviews or something, a piece of jewelry. It will look ornate, it will look impressive, but unless someone knows what they're looking for, it's jewelry.
Well, a relic that basically kind of almost makes an object insubstantial, so like you couldn't really see it. Or tiny, like a bow or something that you could just be like, and then suddenly bow.
See, I was thinking along the same lines.
Well, I was thinking, some kind of like smoke and mirrors effect.
Yeah. That sounds very much like Anastasia's rifle.
I was thinking.
Wasn't that hidden behind the moon?
Behind the moon, yes. She tucked it
That
behind
would
the
be
moon when
pretty
she
cool.
wasn't using it.
That's where I was going.
Probably, yeah. You could have something. You could certainly have something that would be very easy to. I wouldn't say. Think about how you want to describe it, but an option. Thinking a bit about some of this is coming more from sort of the Egyptian side and the Mummy game, World of Darkness game. So in that there is the ability to create effigies of things. So you walk around with a pendant of like an AK-47, if you wanted, and then you invest some power into it, and you now have a gun. So it'd be kind of an effigy kind of thing. Something that's actually hidden and not there. I feel
No. I didn't mean quite literally not there.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be done, but it would be a more powerful.
Well, think more like a pen or something.
You're thinking Percy Jackson?
Well,
we were just
a pen, or like a pen,
Yep.
something that you could a mundane object that you just something like click. I don't know, either in a pen using the Percy Jackson example.
Percy
click,
Jackson has
and
the pen
suddenly
that extends
sword.
out into a sword.
Yeah,
It kind of folds out in cool
yeah,
ways.
something like that, or like an umbrella that you suddenly go like, and then oh no, that's not an umbrella, that's a gun or a bow.
An umbrella that's a gun is kind of a thing, but yeah, I think something. Yeah, you could for something that is sort of essentially collapsible item. Yeah, that would be like 1 point of relic. You don't need to spend relics on a mundane item. So you don't need to spend relic points on a mundane item. You just essentially say, we're basically saying, yes, okay, you can take something off the
And if
standard
I spent
list.
2 more points into that, it would be one of those that also gave me purviews?
It could be something that also gave you purviews, or you could spend those 2 points on a separate thing that gives you purviews. Whatever.
I have no idea what weapons do in this.
No need do I.
I don't want one of them.
That looks terrible.
A lindworm and tatzelworm. They look bad.
But you're not going to get one of those to be accompanying you in many situations.
Well, no, I literally just turned to a random page and it
I
was
think that's
there.
probably the monster.
And it was like,
It was very
I don't know.
Lindworm is kind of like think June, think sandworms.
Yeah, I
It's
guess
not
from the
gonna
look
be
of it
too
and just
far
went, no, I don't like that.
You're not going to be too far.
That looks bad.
So yes,
I was thinking of taking a guide, but
Yep.
wondering what to take to contact them.
yeah. I mean, if you don't take anything to contact them, you just have to go and find. You just have to contact them, which might be as simple as picking up the phone and calling them. If they're sort of 1, 2, or 3, you could probably justify having someone who is contactable by phone. They just might not always.
That's
be
kind of...
Okay.
If
A
it was a Norse sword,
supernatural-
it would be a
a
sword.
relic that
That's
allows
something
you to
actually,
contact them would basically
Odin's
bypass
spear.
the need for them to be,
Okay,
available to talk to you by
I
phone.
can't see stuff
probably.
here, so I'm thinking.
Although they may still, you may still
Probably
contact
closest
them, and
gonna
they may
go,
tell you to call back in a bit. They're busy, but it's kind of bypassing some of that. Obviously, if you've got
Either that or a Kopesh.
that's
if you've got
isn't it?
some like maybe your
That's the Egyptian.
Oh, yeah.
gods.
university public speaking tutor or whatever, they're not.
Or maybe Trident.
There's a fair chance that when you phone them up, they're going to be in the middle of doing something else like lecturing.
Okay.
That was a
So, yeah.
Doku.
Daichu, isn't it a type of bow?
If it's under ranged weapons, I would assume probably.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a
They
type
do
of
have
Japanese
descriptions of
bow.
those on the pages around them. So yeah, so guide.
Yeah.
That's
So
javelin, isn't it?
So you've
If
got
I-
5
if I
points
put
to spend.
3 points into a
It's,
guide. What
they
sort of
run
level
just
of
behind the
So-
guide am I
Yeah,
looking
there's-
at?
A level
Yeah,
3
yeah.
guide is an experienced Scion. The guide can offer considerable insight into all things semi-divine, might know other signs from several pantheons,
It's
or
like
even a
Titan
few
Desert
gods.
Eagle.
May have experience fighting various strains of Titan spawn.
Get yourself a spray K.
Other drawbacks, having a Scion mentor is often involved with the own heroic band, leaving her less time to guide the pupil. So, yeah.
Okay.
So 3 could be something on that level. 4, you're getting up to the point where you're talking about, and you can spend points later on to boost if you want. 4, you're getting up into legendary
Shorter.
beings. So,
But Remington's kind of... I'm assuming this means like sniper or
Dwarves
hunting
and-
rifle
Yeah.
in this instance.
yeah, for you, more sort of possibly the dwarves and that kind of thing. And 5 is a minor god or goddess. So,
So I was
Okay.
thinking like a hunting rifle type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it would... I can't really see that, your random Australian businessman having an AK-47.
Fine.
Whereas having a hunting rifle...
Yeah.
Far more sensible.
collapsible, hideable hunting rifle.
Gun.
I think possibly more like cool collapsible than umbrella thing. It just strikes me more. Also,
Well, I don't mean like collapsible as in like you have to spend a while
I
building
don't
it. but-
imagine
looks like-
Australians wandering around with umbrellas very much.
No, I was just thinking of that as an example
Yeah.
because again, it was in Thor Ragnarok
Yeah, that's what he disguised
when
Mjolnir as.
when
Oh,
he goes
yes,
to visit Doctor
yes,
Strange. His
yes.
Mjolnir is a
Yeah.
umbrella. It was just an example.
Oh yes, don't forget your umbrella. Crash, crash, thump, clatter, smash.
Sorry.
Oh, such a silly film. I really
Yeah, so
liked that.
that's
film.
what I was thinking. Something mundane. So
It's probably going to be less. So that was more of an illusion. This probably would be more of an actual sort of physical transformation.
yeah, I mean magical, not like literally a collapsible sniper rifle because you could buy one of those.
Yes, it's magical to the point of you can wander around. A collapsible sniper rifle is still a briefcase-sized thing, and then you have to spend 10 minutes
Yeah,
putting
as
it
in-
together. This is more of a,
Something that you could walk around with in public and no one would bat an eyelid,
and then an action you have a.
and then suddenly I'm holding
You
a
have a
sniper
gun.
rifle.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I need to think of a suitable object. Pimp stick.
Possibly not. But again, it would probably look. It would be quite impressive, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Even collapsed, it would stand out, but it wouldn't
What
necessarily.
about like
stand
a really swanky pen?
Yeah.
I'm thinking businessman.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it's something. It's going to be like that, or a checkbook or something. But given that,
Checkbook really wouldn't work.
given
so
that
well.
it's how old it is, I'm
But
thinking
a
like
nice
an old
fountain
fountain pen.
pen.
You
Yeah.
could, you could go full Kingsman and like briefcase flick out and just
A briefcase hunting rifle.
Anyway,
Think like the ultra, fancy fountain pens that you would have to like buy from like some tiny shop in Switzerland that would cost like 20 grand.
Yeah.
That kind of pen is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'm happy for that. Things on Birthrights. So you're thinking of going with some stuff with guide. I suggest you
And a pendant.
you possibly want to take some relic for purview access.
I'm probably going to take a pair of relics.
Yep.
I'm thinking creature 2.
Yep.
For a pair of wolves.
Okay.
Frecky and Gary.
Easy there, Lehman.
And
I
then,
know who the traitor of the party is.
and then one level 1 relic, just a pendant with like 2 carved wolves on it, so that I can throw it out and then they come to life, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically Odin's wolves.
Okay. You're
Um,
following Odin's wolves.
Yeah, I'm
Odin had ravens.
sort of part of their. Yeah, he had wolves and
wolves and
ravens.
ravens.
But Hugin and Moonin were the most important things.
They were the most.
He used them to divine and things like that.
But yeah, sure, you can have. So
And
they will
gather
be,
knowledge.
They will be standard wolves.
Yeah,
as far as the rules.
I was thinking they're more of a sort of rather than being full fairy and I can't say it now.
Giant
like,
wolves from a Primark.
Yeah.
Bargain basement giant wolves.
They're more of a portion of their power and portion of them rather than
Offspring,
their full,
probably.
Yeah.
Actually, within the way Scion
Parts.
works,
Yeah.
it's more likely they would be children of that line.
Yeah, exactly. So that, and then
cool.
I was also going down the pen route, the level 2 relic
For a sword.
for a spear. I'm thinking Odin's spear.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm thinking click the pen and it turns into a spear.
Why do all these people like pens?
But mine's a Parker. Well, because Percy Jackson, it's just really cool in Percy Jackson. I just have this image of my character going, "Oh crap!" If I get into real
we
trouble.
don't have smartphones to write things down on. We've
Yeah.
got pads and paper.
Yeah,
So we just have really
So
swanky
pen-
pens.
To be fair, you kind of don't have
We
smartphones.
don't have smartphones yet. So pens are still a relevant thing back then.
Yeah.
Kids, just remember, we all used pens once upon a time.
Just kids going, "What's a pen?"
Cool.
So I'll make it. Is it level 2 relic to give me a purview as well?
So level 1 would allow you to have a collapsible weapon that's
Yeah.
just going to be standard default weapon. If you want to put more points into it, you can make that weapon a better stat line. You can also put points into something to give you access to purviews. Either you could do that for your amulet, although probably if you do that with your amulet, you call wolves out of it rather than throwing it
Yeah.
out, because otherwise you then wouldn't have it and wouldn't really have access to your.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then I'll make the relic with the wolves in it. 2 relic then for the extra purview as well.
Okay, cool. So if you write those down.
Can I have...
Give them cool names. That's when you think of them. You don't necessarily need to think of them now, but give them cool names because.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to think of that.
Am I allowed an ornate walking cane that can transform into a mundane rifle and, for an extra point, give me access to a purview? Or do I
Yes.
need to split that into 2?
No, you totally can put things together like that. All I'm saying is you can do it that way, or you can split it up, whichever one makes most sense for you and for it as well. What you want to get from it. You may get more than one purview as well. Remember that each point you get putting into it only gives you access to one of your god's purviews, and there are a number of them. So, just to quickly remind people, Balder, you can buy access to Guardian and Sun. Odin, you can buy access to Death, Magic, Mystery, Prophecy, Psychopomp, and War. So, yes, he gets a lot of access to all of stuff.
I'm basically
But I'm less worried about that.
Enough
as
of
I
my
say,
relics
because-
allow me to buy all 3 of mine.
Because you...
Darkness, Moon, and Psychopomp.
And you get Darkness, Moon, and Psycho.
Literally, like smoke and mirrors, boys.
Smoke and Mirrors, yes.
I'm over there, or am I?
Darkness, Moon, Psychopomp, and Supers. Tsukumogami.
Yeah, that's the talking to rocks thing.
Yeah, you don't really pronounce the T, I think, in those the TS in Japanese don't really pronounce the T so much. So it's Tsukuma.
I'll take your word on that. My knowledge of the Japanese language
I'm doing
is
another
somewhat
role-playing
limited.
game which is set in Japan and therefore have at least some exposure to
I
some
might
of
have to watch Shogun again. They speak quite a lot of Japanese in that.
Anyway, yes, so... Yeah, so think about that because you might want to put more than 1 point in that. You don't have to put all the points in now that you want. You will have a chance to go back and spend more stuff later.
Okay. Are you able to give a quick overview of Guardian and Sun as purviews and what?
Okay, Guardian allows you to mark people as you are protecting them. They literally gain an indelible, effectively, brand or tattoo in your mark. It is unique to you. And you then gain the ability to know where they are, know if they're in trouble. You can then later on some of the other abilities sort of build on that, so you can grant them resistance and that kind of thing. It also allows you to do things like warding areas, so you can ward an area against intrusion. Sun is light and stuff around that, so it at low levels allows you
Blind
to
people
see,
and stuff.
even in the lowest light, finding there's at least some light, you can see fine. You can see through any kind of so fog or anything like that doesn't block your vision. You can summon light. You can use it to blind people, disorient people. At higher levels, you can do things like summoning. One of its powers is like summoning arrows of light, which means that you gain. Well, they're basically more powerful arrows. I think it's specifically arrows, not bullets. I don't think you can enhance a gun in that way. That fire allows you to do that. So Guardian powers, Vigil Brand, as I said, Aegis, or Aegis, however that's pronounced, which allows you to grant someone extra soak, effectively, or hardness, I think technically. So mortal or an object, and Ward, which allows you to ward an area. Sun, Penetrating Glare, Divine Radiance, and Heavenly Flare, which basically is first one you can see really well. Next one you can produce light to illuminate, and the third one you can produce light that can actually disorient.
Okay.
Both kind of cool powers.
Yeah.
Darkness.
Also a very cool power set.
Batman.
Yep.
I should have called myself Jim Batman.
You could, but
Not a good way of remaining
rest of
slightly concealed.
the rest of the party may lynch you.
There is a street in Cambridge called Bateman Street, but they always sabotage it and rip the E off. So literally every time I
Batman
walk past
Street.
it, it's Batman Street.
Awesome. So yes, think about those when you're looking at those because you might. Right now, I need to talk for a bit because this is where we're getting into. I am changing stuff. We'll get on to Virtues in a second. So, start off, Legend. So Legend is the power trait in Scion. Your Legend stat defines how many points you can get in things. For now, I am actually going to say you're going to start at Legend 2, which means you can't take anything above 1. Any of your epic attributes or purviews can't go above 1 to start with. Probably relatively quickly you'll boost up to Legend 3. One of the main things I'm saying about Legend is that it is not something you buy, despite, in the book, it's something you buy, it's quite a big expenditure. The reason I found that to be kind of a source of contention when we played it with that rule, because you ended up with this kind of awkwardness of people kind of, when do I buy it, when do I not? Because it's that power stat that allows you to then get that next level of power over people who haven't bought it up.
Yeah, it's much easier to keep everyone the same.
So I'm just giving that as a story award. It just flattens everything out a bit,
makes it easy.
evens the table a bit, and just means that you, as a group, you don't have that decision. And when I give you that next point of Legend, I am then explicitly telling you you are now allowed to buy up to the next tier of stuff.
Makes sense.
Legend points makes absolutely no difference right now because I'm reducing it to 2 times rather than your Legend rating squared. the reason for that, basically, is not something that really is going to impact us probably in this game, but if we continue this on, which I have sort of vague concept that we might, at higher levels you end up, if you go with the standard rules, it's quite easy to get 50, 60, 70 points of legend, and then it just takes you an entire plot arc to use it all, and then suddenly you've got nothing, and you can't easily recover it. By making it double, and just cutting it down, it makes it a bit more limited in the sense that you can't just throw points at it until the problem goes away, but also you can boost all the way back up to your full capacity quite quickly. On that note, I'm intending to be quite generous with at least basic stunts. So stunts basically are the standard way of recovering legend in Scion. If you want to do something, say you want to hit someone in combat, if you say, I punch him, that's not a stunt, you don't get anything. If you were to actually describe how you run up, duck underneath his guard and give him an uppercut under his chin, that'd probably be a 1-die stunt. It gives you an extra die on your actual action, and it gives you a point of legend. You should be able to... Basically, my intention is it should be possible for you to gain a point of legend every turn, every round of combat. Essentially.
A bit awkward with a sniper rifle. I cartwheel, firing my gun under my
There
arm.
were various ways of doing it. Exactly how you do it, it's up to you. You can
80s
also
one-liners.
you can stunt in any action. You know, combat is not the only place you stunt, but it's often where a lot of the stunts come in. Stunting can also allow you to push things onto other stats. So if you describe how you're doing something in a particular way, it might encourage me to say, okay, yeah, I'll let you roll strength instead of dexterity for that. So, those kinds of things. But mainly, so basically, I'm going to be quite generous on low-level stunts. Stunts basically come in 3 levels. 1 is, you've described it a bit. 2 is, you've described it pretty well. It's pretty cool. You're really drawing people into the scene. 3 is, that was awesome. At 3 is the point where you can actually start to regain willpower as well as legend and stuff, because you are just being that damn awesome. There won't be very many 3s, but hopefully there'll be some, because they're awesome when they happen. So the game is encouraging you to really make a story out of every encounter, which is nice. So yes, so I'm making those changes. The next change I am making is your epic attributes. Epic attributes are automatic successes. So depending on the level you have in epic attributes, you gain a certain number of automatic successes. They also grant you other associated benefits. Epic stamina, for example, reduces all wound penalties.
And gives you more wounds, I think.
And at higher level actually just gives you more health levels. So by standard, a human has 7 health levels. A god can have a lot. I am changing slightly how those work. Again, no real impact to start with, because it doesn't change the level 1 and level 2. But I'm changing it. It is as kind of a geometric scale in the standard book. It goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 1, 2, 4, 7, 11, 16. The issue I found with that, Dave agrees, because we've talked about it earlier, is that results in being in a situation where if someone has one more point of an epic attribute than you, they win. Any contested roll, they win. That's about it.
Without a lot of luck.
Without either a hell of a lot of luck or you really managing to stack the odds in your favour. Just 1 point of epic attribute is enough to take someone past the point where you can do anything. What I am changing it to is a linear scale. So while you are at hero level, it will be 1 point per point you have in an epic attribute. When you get to demigod, it'll be 2. If you get to god, it'll be 3. That still allows you at the top level 10 points of epic attribute. In god, you're getting 30 auto successes. It is still kind of... It's still massively outclassing anyone.
What's the most a hero can have? 3?
A hero is up to 3. Yeah. But it just levels things out a bit. Again, it also takes a bit of the pressure off in terms of the inter-party stuff. So that if someone's bought 1 extra level of epic stamina, it's a bit less of in order to touch them, I have to throw things at the party that will kill anyone else in one shot.
Yeah, that is quite a common problem.
That is a common issue. If you have, if you're sort of 3 or 4 levels below the cap on epic stamina, you probably want to be thinking about other ways of making sure you don't die when combat kicks off. But 1 or 2, you're in a bit more of a survivable situation. You're not the tank, but you're not necessarily going to be completely fragile. The other thing I'm changing around epic attributes, by the standard book, you gain a knack, which is a sort of a focused application of that attribute. For example, there is a wits knack, social chameleon, which removes all penalties for trying to interact socially in an unfamiliar group. You can just move in, you can immediately start picking up on the cues around and interact as if you know that environment. Not necessarily you know the people, but you know the environment, you know the way they talk. You can very quickly cue in on how they're going to be interacting. By standard, you gain a knack every time you gain a point of epic attribute. You can also buy them independently. In my experience, again, less of an issue. Most of these stuff are less of an issue in Hero, but once you get towards the top of Demigod, you end up with about 30, 40 knacks. And that kind of has 2 issues for me. One is that you come out of a scene, and then 10 minutes later you go, hang on a second, I had that knack that I haven't used in 8 game sessions, and therefore I completely forgot I had, and would have just allowed us to solve that problem really easily and really advantageously. Crap. I forgot I have it, and therefore it's too late. The other issue is it just doesn't make them as special. So I'm making knacks purchase only. You have to explicitly buy them, and you buy them separately. I'm going to say you have to have at least 1 level of
so 1 knack per epic.
Probably, yeah, you have to have at least 1 thing, but you don't have to buy them. So you can just be strong. Or you can be that epically strong guy who can punch down walls, because you've taken Divine Rampage. You know, it's that kind of sort of thing. It's that focus where it's going a step beyond you're really strong into sort of focused superpower stuff. I am expecting there will be some knacks that everyone buys. Self-healing, for example. It's just too damn useful not to. It's an epic stamina knack. But, you know, you won't necessarily start with it, but I'm expecting people will buy it as the game goes on. But a lot of things, it allows you to more focus and specialise, I think. Which I think is quite nice. So basically, yeah. Reduces the number of things you can forget you have, and allows you to focus in and say, I do this thing really well, and you can be the character who does that thing really well. Yes, knacks. The other thing is that some of the knacks are going to be changing a bit. So, the first one you're going to see in the book is Untouchable Opponent. By the basic rules, Untouchable Opponent is you spend 1 legend, and for the entire scene, the entire combat, you gain a significant boost to your defense. Now, again, at the level you're starting at, it's 1 extra. It's going to be like at most 1 extra point or 2 extra points when you get that far. But once you get higher up, it's literally double the effect of your epic dex in terms of applying it to your defense. Which at low levels is kind of handy. At high levels is literally what it says on the tin. No one can touch you.
Yeah,
you spend 1 legend.
I think I remember.
You can recover it with a simple stunt, and no one can touch you that entire scene. I am changing that to be 1 legend per attack you are defending, and you must declare it before I tell you what the result of the attack roll was. That immediately makes legend burn down more quickly in a fight. But that then just encourages you to stunt more, which is cool, because then you do more stunts and you do more cool stuff. I'll see about other knacks. I'm not going to try and be too... I'm trying not to be too harsh. Most of the stuff that is kind of passive sensory stuff, particularly because I'm making knacks less pervasive. You're not going to have as many of them. I'm probably going to leave most of them being kind of... The ones that are free are probably going to remain free. But it's mostly the ones like that, and at demigod level, body armor, same thing. It's a soak equivalent of that, basically, which essentially are just too much to be I spend 1 legend, I get this for a scene. I'll see about other things as we encounter them. The last point is just to say there are some high-level abilities which, if you look by the rules, with me having reduced your legend pool, you could never activate. Their costs will be reduced accordingly. So, there's things that are like, this costs 30 legend to activate. Well, if you've got double legend as your maximum amount, you can never activate that. But when you've got legend squared as your maximum amount...
Yeah, it goes up to like 144 at God level.
At maximum God, top level God, it's 144. So 30 points is a big chunk because it takes you ages to recover that. But...
It's only like less than a quarter
It's less than a quarter of what you can have if you're at full charge. I'd be reducing all of those so you can still activate them. There'll still be a significant cost, but they will not be, your entire legend pool. Right, okay. So, right. Said all that. You are starting at Epic Legend 2. That means, as I say, you can't raise anything above 1. You start with 10 points to spread between Epic attributes, boons, which is your purview abilities, and max. So normally 10 points, if you start at Legend 2, 10 points is kind of, I get 1 in all of the epic attributes, and then I get a purview, and that's like, there isn't too much flexibility, but because I'm making max something you have to buy, I feel that's less of an issue. So, you're spreading those between those. I will just point out, because the way the mechanics work, I didn't spot this, and then I ended up spending a lot of experience early on in the game. Getting the first level, in experience, getting the first level of an epic attribute is bloody expensive. Getting the second level is half the cost. It costs you 10 experience to get the first level, and like 4 or 5, depending on whether it's favoured, to go from 1 to 2. So if you think you are going to want to start training up an epic attribute, it's probably worth putting a point in it for now.
And with the boons, are we restricted on what dots? Because it goes 1 to 3.
It will only be 1 dot boons.
So we can only buy 1 dot boons.
So, epic attributes you buy sequentially. Most purviews, not all, but most purviews you can buy. You buy individual powers. You don't buy them. You don't sort of go, I've got level 1 in this. Now I've got level 2 in it. You go, I have the level 1 ability in this. I'm then going to buy the level 3 and the level 7. Once you've got enough legend to get, once you've got 8 legend. You cannot take anything above, so the way it works is your 1 minus your legend is the maximum level you can raise any supernatural ability to. For epic attributes, you have another cap on them, which is that they cannot go, the epic attribute cannot be higher than your mundane attribute. It can be equal but not higher. So if you've got epic stamina 2, you cannot, so if you've got mundane stamina 2, you cannot have epic stamina 3.
Okay, but we can't have more than epic.
But you can't have anything above 1 at the moment anyway, so it's not a constraint. It's just letting you know for future reference as you buy things up.
Okay, so we can buy one dot boons, nax, and
1 dot boons, nax, and
stats.
1 dot epic attributes. Yep.
Let's get on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, start putting the ones I definitely want in.
Yep. Yep. Dex, by any chance?
Dex, perception.
Okay. Mostly it was Dex that I knew, because when you're playing a sneaky character, you really want Dex.
So which section do these go in? Sorry?
Alright, that's on the back of the sheet.
It's the Vigil Brand Guardian.
Yep.
I think so. Is that in
Boons?
Boons. There we go.
I'll hold that bit for you.
Yeah. You have access to some weird ones as well. Magic and mystery work a bit differently in terms of purviews. I think they're ones you actually have to buy sequentially. And then you buy, like, powers within them or something. I can't remember.
I do love the name of the purview, Psycho Pump. I just think it's brilliant.
It's a great one. What's level 1 Psycho Pump?
Unerring orientation.
Where am I? Right. Yeah. Most of the level 1 abilities are kind of sensory.
Basically, I can find home.
Yep.
If I'm filming a game show in America, probably not that useful. Home. Many, many, many miles that way.
Yes, but I think also I'll say that it kind of allows you to orient yourself. You will never be really lost.
So I like the sound of that one until it went, you can find your way home. If my character's an Australian and I'm not in Australia, not that handy.
You can probably find your way to,
I mean, you
the
always
hotel room. And
you
that
always
kind
have a compass on as well, basically.
Yeah. So it's going to be that kind of thing of you always know where you are and which way you're facing. Yeah. You won't necessarily know how to get past the obstacles around you. If you're dropped in.
I'll know the direction I need to go in.
Yeah, I need to go that way. That's a cliff. Okay. But you will know. You'll be able to tell how far you've travelled along it to find ways around and that kind of thing. You're not going to get completely lost.
You've got... Which ones have you got access to? Or which ones have you bought access to?
I don't even remember.
Have you chosen? Because you can always...
So I bought access to all 3 of mine.
Because why not?
Well, I've only got...
Because they're all really cool.
I've got 3, so I think
they're all
it's not a
fucking
lot,
awesome.
so yeah.
Well, I've only got one extra thing one extra purview I can buy, because obviously
We do have freebies, so you can go back to them later if you want to. So you have 15 points freebies. If you find that you want access to more purviews, you can at this stage go and say, well, that means I need to spend some of my freebies on Birthrights in order to get access to that.
How do we purchase willpower in this one?
Willpower, again, either through freebies but also through virtues. We haven't gotten to virtues yet.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of us, aren't I?
Oh, prophecy isn't in here.
But virtues are... prophecy, I think, is at the end. So after all the main ones, and possibly after the Pantheon-specific ones, there is a set of special purviews, which includes magic, mystery, prophecy.
Yeah, where's magic? Because I was thinking that's the one I was going to buy.
I think
considering,
it's magic.
Considering Odin is pretty magical.
Yep. Magic, mystery, and prophecy are Odin's things.
So you can spend one of your things on one of those 2, or 2 points on both.
So it's actually, can I just read up on magic? Because I think it's a weird one.
Hang on.
Yeah, I don't want to be going in somewhere that might be a bit confusing for the game. If that's
No, it's fine. I don't mind you getting it. I just want to make sure
I've spent
that
6 of my points so far.
what you are getting...
I've spent 8.
Basically, I just want to make
I've
sure
got
you're playing
6
by the
dots
rules
of
as they
stats.
are, or at least
And
as I want them to be.
I bought Night Eyes, which means I can
Magic.
see in the dark, and Unerring Orientation, so I can't get lost.
Yeah, I was
Direct and
thinking-
influence the mysterious forces of fate. All the stars. Scion gains 1 free new spell of the increased value for each new drop of the magic purview you get. So the special purviews, I was right, the special purviews you buy incrementally. So you're going to need to note down somewhere, I don't know where on the sheet it would go,
my special purview.
that you have a... So for most purviews, as I was saying, you buy individual levels. You buy the level 1 power, the level 3 power, the level 8 power, and maybe you look in some other source books and go, ooh, that's a really cool level 3 power, we're going to have 2 level 3 powers, whatever. Special purviews you buy up as a thing. So you will have Magic 1. That is one thing you can buy. When you buy Magic 1, you can buy Ariadne's Thread or the Unlidded Eye as a spell. You can then also buy the other one of those, if you so choose, as an additional spell. So you gain a spell every time you increase your level of magic, and...
So he doesn't need both ones, he can just buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So every time... So you can buy up your magic independently, and every time you buy up a rank of magic, you gain a spell of that level.
How do I purchase a level of magic?
At this point, it's one of your 10 points
Right.
of supernatural stuff can be a level of magic, which will also grant you a level of a spell.
So I have to buy a level of magic before I can buy another spell. So I can...
You buy level 1 magic. That automatically gives you a level 1 spell as part of learning it, and allows you to then buy other level 1 spells.
Right, at the same cost, so you could spend
Absolutely.
like 1 dot to buy that one, for example, and then you can, if you want to, spend another dot to buy that.
Yes, essentially. At this point, it's kind of the same as if you were buying the spells individually.
Yeah.
But you can't get anything above level 1.
You can't go up above level 1 yet
But
anyway. So.
if you want to scout out where you're going to be going,
Yeah.
there's no harm in browsing ahead of it. Also probably good, because last time I played Scion, I bought Justice. I never used it. Literally. No, I think I maybe used it once. The entire session. And it was kind of one of these things I always felt a bit kind of, I could have done something more useful with these points.
How much would it be to buy a knack in XP terms? Because obviously it's not covered in the book.
5, I think. It is covered in the book.
Okay, to buy knacks. Okay, I didn't realise.
I think it's 5. We can look it up later, but it's...
I was just curious, and I didn't know.
Yeah, you can buy them. You can buy them separately. Which is one of the reasons I ended up with quite so many knacks. There were lots of cool things I wanted to be able to do. And I think we also got the cost of them wrong. I think we were costing them at 3 rather than 5, so I ended up getting them cheaper.
So if you were lying to someone...
Yep.
What would you be rolling on out of curiosity?
Probably manipulation and presence would be my guess. It depends on exactly what you're doing, but as a default, I'd say lying would come under
so
manipulation and presence.
rather than charisma.
Yeah. There are manipulation knacks for You Believe Me. There are also charisma knacks for You Believe Me in slightly different ways.
Yeah, one of the ones I've taken
Benefit
is
of the
Benefit of the Doubt. There we go.
That's the one. I was trying to remember what it's called. There's also at higher levels unimpeachable reference, which basically allows you to grant that to someone else, which is awesome. But yeah, Benefit of the Doubt basically allows you to be talking to someone and they will, to some degree, accept what you are saying, at least long enough to go along with it. So if you're trying to convince the police officer that he needs to get people to get a cordon put up to hold people back from the horde of rampaging, I don't know, centaur, he might be very confused at you, but he'll believe that you are definitely, sincere, that there is some danger, something really dangerous, and that he should be, and he probably will agree to try and keep people back. He might not necessarily immediately believe that there are actual, Greek centaur running around murdering people. But, yeah.
So other than buying a pervy, what would be an example of something I could put on a relic, like amulets? Or a gun?
Okay, so access to a purview is one. Purview powers are another, so you could get an ability that you wouldn't normally have access to, either because it's outside of your god's remit, or because it's higher level. Or there are huge numbers of specific things.
Okay, so
It's
buying a power outside your level, that just costs 1 dot? Or?
1 dot per level of power.
Okay, so if you're buying a 1 dot boon, it would be 1
dot in the thing, yeah. And there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. So one of the example characters, I think it's an example antagonist who has ability on his armor, because he's a son of what's his name? Ares. He has ability on his armor that basically enhances his damage conversion knack. So he can actually downgrade bashing to nothing. Costs him more legend to do so, but he can downgrade. I think he could downgrade lethal to bashing to nothing. Blows through legend quite quickly, but he can resist a huge amount of damage.
Spend 2 points, you can fly.
Yeah.
Get away!
Yeah.
Of course, that might be showing.
It might be a bit
little bit unsubtle. But there's that. There's the Scion of Aphrodite, who has Eros and Anteros as a pair of guns. They each have the unique ability to mean that person either falls madly in love with or utterly revolted by the next person they see.
Nice.
Literally, the cherub's arrows kind of things. It uses a bullet, but it doesn't injure the person. It's just a specific thing. I'm trying to think if there are any other particular things I can think of. Other things are like, as I said, access to your followers, your companion, guide, whatever.
That was 10 points to spend, was it?
Yep.
Those things. So yeah, I think I've chosen mine. I've
Cool.
gone
What have you
for
gone with?
point of epic in all of the social stats, so charisma, manipulation, and appearance.
Yep.
Again in all of the mental stats, perception, intelligence, and wits. One
Solid
in
choices.
dexterity.
Yep.
I'm not a particularly physical character. And I've gone for
And auto success on all dexterity rolls where you have the relevant skill is still pretty damn good.
Yep.
The auto success is just as a note. The way the thing works, it's kind of, as I say, it's like this World of Darkness. So you add up your relevant traits in the things I say. So say I was getting you to make a dexterity and marksmanship roll. You would add up your mundane dexterity score and your marksmanship. You would roll that many dice. Every die that came up a 7 or more is a success. A 10 is 2 successes. If you get at least 1 success, you then add your epic attribute successes. If you don't get any successes, you get nothing. If you get 1s and no successes, you've screwed up.
That's happened to me a few times.
Oh, the joys of a fumble.
Any number of 1s
Good
and no
old fumbles.
successes.
Yeah, it depends on how I'm feeling. I can't remember what the rules say, but it really just depends on how I'm feeling.
Okay.
A1 is... If you roll A1 and no successes, I might not be quite as harsh. If you manage to roll, 10 1s, it's going to be hard for me to resist being rather mean.
If you've rolled 10 once, you've done pretty damn well in hero level
Failing
game of
horribly,
Scion.
yeah. You can get up to 10 dice balls.
You can, but that's what I'm saying. 10 ones in
That's
hero
right.
would be damn impressive.
Would be something you are utterly specialised at, and you got all ones. That's one in a lot. 10 billion.
Never tell me the odds.
Anyway, yes, so that's just a quick mention of that. So the good thing. Anyway,
So,
yes, what else have you taken?
So I've taken Vigil Brand
Yep.
boon.
Yep.
From Guardian.
Yep.
Which allows me to protect people or areas.
It allows you to mark people or areas, which allows you to then know if they are in danger and where they are and state of them and things like that.
No, wasn't me. Someone else had it.
Yeah.
Benefit of the doubt, as I said earlier, convincing people through
Yep.
nice means to do as I ask.
Yep.
And Serpent Scares, which allows me to effectively lock someone
Yes.
looking into my eyes whilst everything else goes on around them.
You can incapacitate people with a hypnotising gaze. It's a very useful ability.
Whilst I'm not necessarily a particularly combative character, I could
Yep.
possibly disable a combatant whilst the more able people
Yep.
bash them around the head.
I think it doesn't. Its effects are broken if they are attacked, but it would allow you to take if you've got multiple enemies in the fight, you could lock one up
Yeah.
to at least reduce what other people are facing. So it's a very useful ability. Cool. Roger.
I've only spent 9, but I'm going to come back to the other one. I've made a note
Okay.
just because
Okay,
I don't think
fine.
I want to do it. So I've got epics in all of the physical and mental attributes.
Yep.
And charisma.
Yep.
And I bought two boons.
Yep.
I bought Night Eyes from the Darkness Purview, which means I don't get a penalty to see in the darkness.
Yep.
And I bought Unerring Orientation from the Psychopomp Purview, which means it's very, very hard for me to get lost.
Just a thought. If people haven't, please make sure you've noted down your epics, your associated epics, especially where I've changed them.
Yeah. I'll put little stars next
Because-
Yeah,
to
I'll
it.
put stars next to mine.
Good. Because otherwise we'll forget and then we'll have to have this conversation again. Cool.
Yes,
brilliant.
so I have gone for pretty much similar as Roger. I've got all in physical and all in mental.
Cool.
And then I've gone
No epic manipulation.
no epic manipulation. No. I've got four. I've got 4 in it at the moment.
Brave.
But I've gone for 2 spells.
Yep.
So I've gone for the Unleaded Eye.
Which does what?
This spell allows the caster to see magic and supernatural powers that are normally invisible to mortal sight.
Ooh.
It also faintly reveals the threads of fate and intertwine people, revealing strong or thick threads and allowing the caster to determine a scion's or other supernatural being's legend level.
Interesting.
You can see
You can tell they are at times. Okay, that's cool. I wasn't aware of that power. I know there's a perception knack that allows you to basically smell the magic.
Well, that's a perception and occult
yes,
test.
there's a perception knack that allows you to do it, which is set for magic. But yeah, that's cool.
But it cost me one
So-
willpower to do it as well, so it's not like I'm going to be doing it as soon as I meet everybody.
No,
And then
but you might be using it later on when you're thinking, do I want to do we want to actually just introduce?
Yeah.
Sod it. Yeah, okay, guys.
by the way,
That's a lot of willpower to look at the whole team, though.
Not necessarily. I'm not sure. I'd have to check exactly
Yeah.
how it works.
and then I've picked
But,
Ariandi's thread as well, which it basically lets me track a person without needing sight of them. So if we're following a target, but we don't want to get too close to said target, or structure, or a car, or anything like that.
Actually, I'll read up on that later.
So the caster declares a target, a person, place, or thing, and can therefore unerringly track that target as where they've gone following. I can't even say that word. Can you say that word?
Perturbations.
Oh, there you go. He leaves in the threads of fate. So in other words, I can basically follow someone's fate.
Yeah,
threads
okay.
around.
I'm kind of picturing it like tracking in Red Dead Redemption 2. There's a little kind of
No
flowy line.
There's a little line. Yeah. That's kind of roughly what you're getting. Again, there's this, basically you've picked those two spells. There are perception acts that do that, but you're doing it through a different approach, which is cool. It probably
He's
is
a wizard.
Probably a slightly more powerful way of doing things as well.
The other, I've taken a boon. I've taken health, and that's more for my character side of things.
Yeah.
But it just lets me see automatically what's wrong with someone, basically.
Yep.
Doesn't cost me anything. Doesn't know.
Yep. Automatically, you can tell how many health levels, how many levels of damage they've taken, not how much they have left.
Yeah, any condition
and any
they might
conditions.
have.
Yes. That's quite a fun one when you look at someone and go, you are on 30 levels of lethal damage. What?
And then the last one I took was just animal communication, considering I've got 2 wolves. I should probably be able to speak to them.
Yep. So have you got animal? Is animal one of?
Animal ken as well is one of the stats.
Animal communication is so normally so you don't get access to purviews. You can't normally buy access to purviews unless they are listed as one of your god's abilities.
Okay, so I've gone ahead there and brought
So
something.
you can't get that. What you could do instead,
help me
if
out
you
here.
wanted to be able to talk to your wolves, is put, say on the pendant might be an appropriate place to put an extra point, which grants you access to that specific boon without granting you access to the purview. It means you'd still have a supernatural point to spend. You'd have to spend a point on one of your...
Okay,
So you'd buy that through your thing.
You'd buy
and
that
then
through your birthrights.
Then you'd buy the purview through the other thing.
And then so you don't have access to the purview. You can't learn any high level stuff, but you could buy a level 1. For 1 point, you can have that power as a...
Then that's what I will do.
Okay, so you need to think where you're going to spend your 9th point, your 10th point.
My
of
10th point number
actual supernatural stuff. You don't necessarily have to rub it off.
Yeah, no, I'm just doing it so that I'm in my mind. I haven't spent it yet.
Okay, in the you do kind of have it. You just have it in a different way, and you can't. It doesn't grant you the ability to learn the rest of it. You can have a point of epic manipulation if you wanted.
Yeah, do you know
Or
what?
a knack.
Do you know what?
Or a knack. There are
Do you
some
know-
really cool knacks.
Epic manipulation. There we go. I've done it. It's in there.
Okay, great, fine. So, yes. Could I have a book?
Yep.
So I think probably the next thing on the list is going to be virtues. So virtues are sort of, they're what they say. You get them in various World of Darkness games. They are actually different for each pantheon because different pantheons respect different things. Where are we? Come on, here it is. Right, virtues. So you get one. You have 1 point by default in each of your virtues, and you have 5 more points to spend. You can't take any of them above 4 at this stage. Virtues both define your highest. So your willpower will be the total of your 2 highest virtues to start with, until you spend any points to boost it, and they also benefit you when you're spending willpower. So in most of these kinds of games, most of the World of Darkness kinds of games, you can spend a point of temporary willpower to gain an automatic success on a roll. You can do that in Scion. It's kind of useful. It's not as amazing as it might sound because, the scale of rolls is much bigger. You can also channel a point through one of your virtues to gain that many dice, which can be very useful if you've got quite a high virtue. The downside to having high virtues is if you want to act against them, you have to fail a roll of that virtue. Otherwise, you are compelled to act as that virtue dictates. I'm going to have to rely on you guys to keep an eye on those, so don't
cheat.
Don't cheat. If you try and act against, I think it's something like if you try and act against a virtue and don't fail the roll, you end up going in what they call a limit break, which is essentially that you just end up being overwhelmed and obsessed by that virtue in some way for a time. I'll have to double check exactly how that works, because I haven't read up on it for a little while. So for the Aesir amongst us, your virtues are courage, endurance, expression, and loyalty. For the Amatsukami, yours are duty, endurance, intellect, and valour. So they have similar kind of themes. The balance of them tends to work out that you have, there's sort of, they end up generally supporting the same kinds of things, but there's more of a focus. So the Aesir are very much about loyalty. If you read up the Norse mythology, the kind of honour, the sort of warrior honour is a very strong thread. For the Amatsukami, duty is more the way of the way.
That's
of
how they
looking at it.
determine honour.
Yeah. It's duty.
The samurai culture.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot. There are sort of a lot of equivalents. So courage and valour, but they're slightly different sort of takes on it and slightly different things.
How many points, sorry, do we get
You
to
have
spend?
5 points to spend at this stage.
Right, okay.
And I believe that if you raise your raise your virtues with freebie points in a minute, that also raises your willpower. It doesn't after this point. If you buy them with experience, it won't.
Okay.
You're able to briefly explain what the virtue of expression would cover?
Yes, because I have the book in front of me. Great things are expected of those gifted with great power, and scions have many gifts that can enrich mortal civilization. Expression is the virtue of artistic excellence, which venerates the musician, the painter, the skald, and the storyteller. It is the belief that the creation of art in all its forms is a way of sharing the gifts of the gods with the mortal world. Many scions who espouse this virtue believe that their creations act as a vehicle by which the gods continue to interact with mankind and continue to nurture their faith in the divine. Characters use expression to create works of art, repair or restore damaged works of art, assist in performances. So probably a very appropriate one for the kind of character you're going with. The sort of each of them, as I say, each of them has their downsides. A failed expression roll allows a character to deface or destroy a work of art, refuse to create or perform a work of art, repress or discourage works of art,
Paint
or
me,
communication
boy.
presented by others. So the higher your expression, the harder you're going to have. The harder time you're going to have resisting the call to
So
show off. Essentially,
basically, if
It's
you
not
ever get
necessarily-
into a fight with a Norse god, say, paint me, and watch them go, damn! and then stab them.
Not quite. They don't necessarily have to do it immediately. I'll paint a glorious picture of your ruin of my victory over you. But yeah. So
That's got to happen at some point now.
so
I'm going to
yes,
follow you two around going, paint me.
I'm not basically
me.
the way I'm going to do it. The way I'm just to express this, just to explain this. Basically, the higher level you have in a trait, the more strict I'm going to really say you need to be with yourself
Following
about
it,
how you
yeah.
follow it. I'm not going to worry about if you have courage 1, if you technically courage, you need to fail a courage roll to avoid the prospect of a battle, resist a physical challenge, surrender to an opponent. If you have courage 1, you don't really need to roll so much. If you have courage 4, and someone calls you out, and you want to hide, that's the point where you're going to have to be making the roll.
Okay.
And somewhere in between, I'm not going to be too hard and fast with that. I'm going to kind of leave it to you guys, but I'd like if you
About duty.
considered those. Duty.
So, I obviously am fully aware of what the word means. I just not quite sure how it applies.
So characters use duty to help those in need, build or repair objects vital to a community, uphold the laws of a community, serve as an authority figure in a time of crisis. So duty is a virtue of service to one's community.
To my community or every community?
Depends on how you view it. The Amatsukami are a bit focused on Japan.
Yeah.
So
I'd be, I'd have to help a Japanese person.
A failed duty role allows a character to steal from the community, break a community's laws, defy legal authority, place personal ambitions above the greater good of the whole.
Okay.
So I think that while it may be focused on Japan, or possibly Australia for you, which is fair enough, there is a certain amount where if you have a high duty level, actually, within this it's not so much a problem, because as far as, this is a show, this is pretend. What you're going to be asked to be doing is it's pretend. But actually stealing from someone...
But what if it's stealing for the benefit of our mission? Surely that would then come under my duty-bound thing to complete the mission. That's what I'm kind of trying to get. Part of our plan to save the world is we have to steal this item, and I go, I'm not doing that. I can't.
It depends on...
I don't like stealing.
You would rather... It's part of it, yes, but also if you have a high duty stat, you would be trying to find another way to do what you need to do.
I was going to say,
because you are violating.
I might avoid duty.
It's this thing. You think it's the honour, the samurai honour of getting trapped in that situation where you have two choices and both of them are dishonourable.
I'm just not going anywhere near duty.
Neither of them are.
I played the Japanese last time, and duty really, especially in the high, because I went samurai, went full 5, and then was like. Every time I tried to do anything that was completely against you, okay, I've got to do it.
But that's the thing but that doesn't mean there isn't another way of doing things. So in the example of you need to steal things, well, why do you need to steal from it? Could you?
Because I'm hoping I'll be able to walk through walls and hide myself.
Could you bring the owner of said item at least somewhat into your confidence and suitably and give them something, buy it from them? It may be a bit dangerous to do so because then you have to expose some of your
I'm just going to avoid that kind of thing.
But it's
what about
they are constraints and they're supposed to be.
What about valor?
Valor is a virtue of the noble warrior. She believes in using her martial skill to defend the helpless, to fight with honour, and to offer up her life in necessary service to her worthy cause.
None of this honour. In the back, like a hero.
It doesn't say you can't strike people from stealth and that kind of thing. It's about not avoiding a fight when it is
needed.
The right thing to do.
Alright, that's fine then, because I was going to say...
Characters use valour to defend the helpless, defeat those who prey on the innocent, fight an honourable opponent in battle. That's fine.
What about murdering someone in their sleep?
The effects of fear, pain or fatigue. It is not valorous to murder someone in their fatigue. Right. A failed valor roll allows you to strike a foe from ambush or other unhanded means.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay, so no.
One
How about endurance?
Endurance is one of the hallmarks of the epic hero. She endures hardship beyond mortal limits in order to overcome the challenges arrayed against her. Science who espouse this virtue embrace this stoic ideal. So, resist fear, survive extended bouts of hard physical labour, function for days without rest. That kind of thing. Failed endurance roll allows characters to fail to act because of risk to life or limb, attempt to rest or relax during a time of crisis.
That sounds like a laugh. I'll go with that.
So it's basically you're pushing yourself.
Okay, what about intellect?
Intellect. Find new solutions.
Definitely not going for valour if I can't stab someone in their sleep.
Find new solutions to persistent problems, investigate mysterious phenomena, acquire knowledge, persuade others to accept their ideas or theories. A failed intellect model allows a character to destroy or delete a source's information or knowledge, suppress or censor knowledge, silence debate, promote ignorance in any form.
Cool.
So high intellect is basically not just you will hoard knowledge.
I will tell everyone everything.
You will promote knowledge. It's not necessarily you will tell everyone everything because it's not.
It could be harmful.
Exactly, but you would promote the growth of knowledge. You would promote.
Cool. Okay.
Pursuit.
Endurance and intellect it is because I want to be able to steal and murder people.
Steal and murder people. You're
steal corpses after making them.
Right. Okay.
I'm already worried the direction this is going.
No. Not like you guys, but if there was like a bad person and he was dooming the world, I would quite happily take him out while he's asleep.
Fine.
In fact, I would be promoting that. I'd do it if he's on the job.
So, you've picked your virtues.
Mm-hmm.
What are you focusing on?
I've focused on loyalty and endurance.
So I've gone heavily on expression, so I've put 3 points in expression.
Okay.
And then I've gone for an extra 1 in courage and endurance.
Okay. Pick the two. So take your 2 highest virtues, sum those up, and that is your willpower. Now you have the choice to spend bonus points. If you look on page 101, there is a list of what you can spend bonus points on.
Thank you.
So you've got 15 to spend total. You may have, if you've already spent one to boost the thing to get the access to the pervial to get.
Sorry, 101.
101. Then that's fine, but just sort of be aware.
Bonus points.
Yeah, freebie points. There are no melts and falls in science, so we don't need to go through all of that.
Virtue.
Oh, what's the time? Oh,
What is the time?
10:15.
Oh, okay.
It's getting on a bit later than I thought.
And we're still not allowed to go above 3 in skills.
You are now allowed to go above 3 in skills, but remember at this point that you're playing someone who is like 20, maybe early 20s, so high levels in skills, maybe not quite appropriate. Where you are going to, your vision for who your character is going to develop into is fine, but just sort of the point you're at now, you are not a renowned inspirational speaker, but you've definitely got the makings of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ability means skill, right?
Ability means skill, yes. They use abilities more generally, things. I think possibly, they are abilities on the main character.
And we can't make birthrights above 3.
You can take birthrights above 3 now, but they cost more.
You do. Okay.
So, which is why splitting them up is often quite useful. But some things
to
it
make
doesn't.
my gun able to make me fly.
But it's the thing of you can buy multiple low level relics. So you can buy multiple relics with low level things, but to get a pet rock involves taking companion or creature to 4 or 5.
So you could up a 3-dot birthright to a 5.1 for 6 points. Because you've got 3 already, so it's 3 per point.
Oh, is it 3 per point after that?
Yeah.
I thought it said 2. Okay, fine. Cool, yes.
Oh, sorry, no, 2.
2.
Sorry,
So 4 points. 4 points would allow you to take a 3 to a 5, which would allow you to have like a minor god as your guide or something, some very powerful supernatural creature. For example, though, if you wanted to, while it is sort of the sort of levels things 3 is when you start to get into supernatural stuff. If you wanted to have a pair of wolves, 3 points, I would say a 3-point creature, if you wanted to go that way, would be more than you would have basically a higher stat line. So if 2 points, you get the standard stat line for wolves. At 3 points, I'll give you a slightly boosted stat line. If you go with 5 points, you get something pretty. You'll have a pair of wolves that are fucking powerful.
Oh, I'm definitely doing that.
Um,
I'm only going up to 3, not going up to 5. Don't worry, I'm not going crazy straight away.
Actually, creature by standard is 1 creature, so a pair of wolves would probably be a pair of standard wolves would probably be 3.
Okay.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you buy them 2 separate things, but a pair of wolves.
What about a pair of slightly bigger wolves? Would that be 4?
4, yeah. So that would cost you another 2 to take it from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, go for that.
So
I'll work out stat line for those. That'll be quite cool. It's also one of those interesting and slightly awkward things in the way Scion works, in that your companions and creatures don't tend to power up as you do. So
they kind of get left behind.
They do get left behind. So to start with, these are going to be a pair of really awesome wolves, and above average wolves, they're going to continue to be useful, probably up into the lower levels of demigod. But then you're quite quickly after that going to get to the stage of, if I bring them out in a fight, they're just going to go squish, unless you find a way to boost them more.
Yeah.
Which I'll try and give you those options.
Okay.
So by standard, you get a bit of a power boost when you go from hero to demigod and demigod to god, some of which you could spend on boosting them further with more points in companion or whatever, but I may also give you opportunities to do other things. Last time I ran Scion, I actually ran it as a Diablo 3
Really tempted to be
sort
able
of Diablo
to fly.
game,
Yeah.
which was so basically the characters were Nephilim. If you know the Diablo
I played
stuff.
bits of it, yeah.
Yeah, so Diablo 3, the PCs in Diablo 3 are Nephilim, which explains why they're able to wade through the legions of demons, because they're, that step above human. I used sign rules for those, and what I was doing was when I gave people, every time I granted a level of legend, I gave some boost to something they had. So I might boost their companion or whatever. So, someone who had a bear, summonable bear, ended up with an armoured summonable bear, and things like that. They just sort of get a bit beefier, and I gave it sort of some epic. I represented, it looked more impressive, and I gave it some low-level epic traits and stuff. So it kind of didn't get left behind quite so much. So I'll probably be doing something like that because it'll be fun.
That would be cool.
We'll see exactly how I'm going to do it, but remember to look at Nax for those of you who haven't. I would. So Nax I would definitely recommend looking at would be particularly if you want to be in a fight. Untouchable opponent, much as I have reduced it, is still really useful. Again, maybe a bit less so at the moment because it's just giving you one extra thing. But as you get more, so you might not, may or may not want to bother buying it now. That's up to you. But think about it as you go on because it's really can make a lot of difference in a fight. Self-healing, which basically allows you to convert legend points into health levels. Just regain health. It's lethal or bashing damage. You can just heal it back up. And damage conversion.
Oh god, that's redonkulous. That's
So damage conversion, basically as you go, I've just been hit for 10 levels of lethal. That's after my soak, I've just been hit for 10 levels of lethal. Okay, well, I'm dead. Damage conversion, I am unconscious. Because it's just bashing. 10 levels bashing is going to wrap around and...
Also, your bashing soak will probably be higher.
I'm pretty sure it's post-soak, the damage
I thought it was
conversion.
pre. Okay.
We can check. I don't know.
It's probably one of those things that's probably about as clear as mud.
It's been a while since I did anything with this.
Am I allowed a second knack in appearance, or do I need a...
I think probably I'm going to say one per point of epic trait that you have, so we try and focus it in a bit. I don't know. I'm tempted to say that, but then...
It does kind of restrict how many knacks we can have,
really
which probably makes it a bit
which is
easier.
possibly a bit... But I'm already restricting knacks in that you're not getting them for free and you have to buy them separately. So... I think what I'll say is that you have to have the epic attribute. I might say 2 per level, actually. There's a bit more opening things up. So if you want to really focus in on something, you can say, I have all the...
Or level +1, because otherwise when you get to like 5, you'll get 10. That's a lot.
Which is a lot. But you have to...
Particularly at Hero.
But,
no, Hero only goes up to 3.
It only goes up to 3. Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll go with level +1 for now, because whether it's level +1 or double level is immaterial at this point, and we'll see how it goes.
Time to think.
It gives me time to think, and also gives us time as a group to see how it's playing out. Because then, if someone gets to the point where they want to buy the 4th one at Legend, when they've got an attribute at 2, we can discuss whether we think that's acceptable or not. I'm open to feedback on all of these things. I'm changing. Yeah, so those ones are particularly useful. Some of the strength ones are also quite handy in a fight. Particularly the 2nd level of... So not one you can get now, but a demigod, there is a strength one that allows you to start dealing aggravated damage in a grapple, which is horrific. It's like once per scene you can rip someone's armour.
I like the throwing ones.
The throwing ones are also awesome.
Hell to the Moon was one of my favourite knacks. There's a problem. Into space!
Yep.
It was wonderful.
It allows you to throw anything. I think it's like you can throw anything the distance of a dart. The distance you can throw a dart. And at that point you can throw a dart a really long way.
Oh no, when you get to the God level one, it doesn't matter what you're throwing. It's literally just
exactly. You can throw it the same distance as you could throw a dart, and at that point you can throw a dart several thousand miles.
Yeah, that's how I got rid of my problems. I threw them into orbit.
We're not going to be getting up to that power level in this arc.
Oh no, that's all.
But the other thing I'm going to say is just for reference again, where I've flattened out the epic attribute auto successes stuff, the things that scale to that. So you'll see other things where it's describing epic attributes, where it's saying you gain sort of 1, 2, 4, 7 things. Those would scale on the same level. So your extra health levels and your your wound penalty resistant, ignoring wound penalty.
So they work as they do in the book, or
they work as a 1, 2, 3 or 2, 4, 6 or.
I don't. I'll just let you tell me what I'm doing.
Yeah, the more cinematic stuff can be as it is because that works fine. So that's still the things where it just sort of doubles or multiplies by 10 at each level, like the lifting carrying capacity, which with epic strength just goes a bit crazy.
Well, it should really.
Yeah, god level strength. You can once you're getting into not even at the top level of god level strength. Yes, you can start wielding skyscrapers as weapons.
And then hurl them into the orbit when you're done.
Then hurl them into orbit when you're done.
Keep the planet tidy.
I've heard of a Scion game in which a sea giant rose from the waves, and which one of the players' declared response is, "I pick up that oil tanker and beat it to death." These things like mile-long shit. Yeah.
My favourite tactic was picking up one enemy to throw it at another one to kill them both.
Yep.
It's very efficient.
Yep. In the Diablo game I ran, one of my characters was keeping a list, or 2 lists. One was a list of the different types of enemies he'd killed, various types of monsters and cultists and so forth. The other list was a list of the type of monsters he had used to kill the monsters in the first list. He liked picking things up and using them as melee weapons. Sometimes they were dead before he picked them up because they were a bit too awkward to pick up beforehand. Usually they weren't. Scion gets silly. You're not at the silly levels at the very start, but I'm intending to sort of allow you to power up in that way. Okay. Are we getting towards done?
Almost.
Yeah.
I've got 9 points to spend.
Okay. So, nature will have to choose as well. So if you want to have a look, or we can try and find it, but somewhere in that chapter there's a list of natures. As soon as you're done, if you don't get done relatively soon, you can pick nature at some other point, particularly Roger, who's likely to be keeping all of the books.
I'll probably have to take them back to Sam
Well,
tomorrow.
yeah, it'd probably be good if you give them back so that they can, do their.
Yeah, you'll probably need to ping them lots of.
I'll ping them. I will write up the character creation stuff. The other thing I'd like you to think about between now and then is a bit more about who your character is, as I said, who their background is, who they're connected to, all that kind of stuff. I'm envisaging that you've probably, as I said, your visitation was somewhere in like the last 3 months. It can be very, very recent if you want it to, but I'm thinking sort of 2 and 3 months ago probably as a starting point. So you're still fairly new to all this. What? That you mean this stuff's actually real? Although I'm guessing for your character Dan particularly, you already kind of believed it was real. You just didn't know how connected to it you were.
Magic.
Because you've got all that occult and you've got the occult knowledge already. You're not going to have really had a chance to learn from 0 to 3 points in something in a couple of months. Although that said, once you start gaining experience at the base and power at the level signs do go very, very quickly. Awesome. So, what sort of things have you gone with?
So I really just concentrated on Nax, to be honest.
Cool.
I went for Subliminal Warning, which is
Can't be ambushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I think.
It gives you a bonus to avoid
Yeah.
being ambushed.
Yeah,
basically.
basically, yeah. So I get a dice equal to my epic if we're being ambushed.
Yeah.
Which, like I say, at this early stage, is not massive.
Not huge, but it will boost up.
But it will get to a point.
Yeah.
I've then obviously gone untouchable opponent
Yeah.
and damage conversion.
Yeah.
Just because they're really very useful.
Yep.
Those ones are pretty snappy. And then obviously, because we discussed about my wolves being a pair, I've obviously taken up to creature 4.
Yep. So you've got
Just
a
so I've
pair
got
of
2
powerful wolves.
fairly big wolves.
Yep.
And
sounds
then
good.
I took my relic spear, which
Yep.
I haven't got a name for yet, but I will come up with a suitably epic
Cool.
name. I've taken that up to rank 3.
Cool. And what are you doing with that? Is that just going to be boosting the stat line up?
So one's to boost stat line, and then one's to give me access to the animal, so I can have the animal command.
So you've got that in on your
Yeah.
spear.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that works. Awesome.
Yeah, and that was it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What did you do then, Dave?
So for my bonus points, I took the extra knack centre of attention from appearance.
Yeah, that's cool.
I gave myself an extra point in stamina.
Yep.
I took points in brawl and melee, which are both favoured skills.
Yep.
Up them both by 3 each.
Yep.
And then I had 2 points left over, so I've put that into willpower.
I think isn't willpower 3 points per level?
I think it was 2.
Willpower's 2, virtues are 3.
Yeah.
That was it. Yep. I knew I was looking at that one.
Done.
Yep. Cool.
I bought 3 points of virtues.
Yep.
To boost my endurance and intellect 5.
Yep.
Which kind of had the nice effect of giving me willpower 10. I also bought Cat's Grace.
Yep.
Which means I'm always on my feet and basically I don't fall over.
Yep. It's a
Well,
useful one.
Not willingly.
Yes.
And Perfect Memory.
Not unwillingly, more to the point.
Yeah, sorry, not unwillingly. And I have Perfect Memory.
Very useful.
Which means that when I go, Colin, what did they say? Colin has to tell me.
Yeah, it's a very
So-
useful one.
I don't have to remember things.
It'd probably be good if you actually try and remember things.
I
as
will
well,
try,
because I
but-
won't remember all the things.
I'll try, but
But yes, your character
my
has
character will.
perfect memory.
I probably will forget.
Okay, no, that's cool. That sounds like a load of quite cool stuff. Also justifies you rewatching things if you want to. You could rewatch the episodes to remind yourself what happened. Your character has perfect recollection. Cool. Okay, that took a bit longer than I was thinking, actually, so that was fine. I will. I'll get that get the stuff written up and sent out to the other 2 players so they can have a chance to make characters for the next session. If you guys can think about backgrounds and so forth, that'd be good. Also, natures. So your nature is important to take. Did you choose nature?
I'm currently deciding between competitor or perfectionist.
Where are natures?
I think they
somewhere
both suit
shortly after the character creation page is 100.
116
There you go.
is the
Thank
end
you.
of them.
Right. But I think if we call it there, and then we'll come back
Yeah,
and
all right,
we'll see
no worries.
everyone. Yeah, see you guys in 2 weeks, and you guys will see us 2 weeks after this goes live, hopefully. So
Cool. Well, I hope you had fun watching. Feel free to drop us a like and subscribe, and check out the various links of social medias and Patreons, etc.
cool.
below.
Yeah.
Until next time, toodaloo.
Bye.